Et ici, ce sont les vaches. Sont-elles à vendre aussi?
Et oui, elles sont à vendre. Il y a de belles bêtes et il y a du monde.
Oh, regardez le petit veau. Sa mère a l'air de vouloir le protéger.
En voici une belle. Elle doit donner beaucoup de lait, mais valoir un bon prix aussi.
Voilà un groupe qui a l'air intéressant.
Oui, mais ils n'ont pas l'air trop sérieux.
Je ne peux pas entendre ce qu'ils disent.
Qu'importe, ils doivent parler le breton.
Mais ils savent parler le français, n'est-ce pas?
Oui, mais au marché, vous pouvez entendre beaucoup de breton.
Qu'est-ce qu'il fait, cet homme-là?
Il regarde les dents pour voir l'âge de la bête.
Ils savent bien acheter et vendre. Mais à vrai dire, je suis bien fatiguée. Et j'ai grand faim.
Allons donc chercher un café. Moi aussi, j'ai besoin de me reposer.
Hi everybody, happy New Year. It's 2022. Yesterday I walked outside in shorts and short sleeve shirt, and today it is snowing. That's the way it is here in Raleigh, North Carolina, home of the AV Geeks archive, and home of our show where we watch old 16mm educational films. That last film we saw was part of a French foreign language series made by Encyclopedia Britannica, where we go to all different places in France and learn about different things. That's what these films are all about. They're educational films. They're supposed to teach us something. And sometimes, out of context, we're not really 100% sure what they're trying to teach us. So it's kind of fun that way. This next film is, I should say that 16mm films are considered to be a teaching machine. The idea was, what are tools that teachers can use to efficiently relay information to a wide variety of students over a period of time. And 16mm films were one of those things. Slides were one of those things. Language tapes were one of those things. Eventually, then computers, the internet, CD-ROMs. I'm not doing it in order. But here's the teaching machine that was very popular when I was in school, in elementary school, and also in Vacation Bible School. Enjoy.
Today, Miss Jackson is working on number concepts. Her pupils are alert, and their interest would be evident to the most casual observer. To make learning easier for the children, Miss Jackson has a felt board. Identifying the number of apples on the tree is excellent drill experience for the youngsters, and the felt board helps to make learning both interesting and lasting for them. The felt board is simple both in construction and operation. Basically, it's merely a piece of stiff backing covered with felt. Other pieces of felt will adhere to the board by merely placing them there. Commercially constructed boards and cutouts use special long fibered felt, which increases adhering qualities to a maximum. Felt, a cloth that is matted and shrunk rather than woven, will not ravel, and designs may be cut from it as easily as from paper. The most simple type of cutout is the silhouette, which may be a single piece of felt or made up of several pieces, as in the case of this elephant. The eye and the ear hold as firmly to the cutout as the body will to the felt board. Any outline traced or drawn on a piece of felt may be cut out for use on the felt board. A great number of cutout sets are available commercially. These circus animals, this Christmas tree with its many different colored ornaments, and this fruit tree are examples of such commercially prepared sets. Stamped felt materials to be cut out by teachers or pupils are also available. Sets of this nature range from sheets of numbers and letters to sets of characters for storytelling and for special units of work, such as our community helpers. The felt board is an adaptable teaching tool. Miss Jackson uses it for vocabulary development as well as for arithmetic. The ease with which children can use the medium, its colorfulness, and the lack of any mess or muss in using it make the felt board an attractive device for both teachers and pupils. Now, with the barnyard complete, let us look at another teacher as she uses the felt board to help children discover for themselves the combinations of 5. Mrs. Williams has a number of different types of cutouts that she might use. Today, she selects houses and sets up the problem with them. Let us see how many ways we can make 5, she suggests, and asks who would like to begin. Ruth seems a bit grim in her offer to start, but she demonstrates her idea nevertheless, a demonstration that makes her thinking evident, and at the same time gives Mrs. Williams an opportunity to stress a right concept or correct a wrong one. Felt cutouts need not be limited to silhouette forms. Several types of coloring media may be used directly on felt to make more elaborate materials. Almost any picture story may be made up in felt figures in this way. These cutouts of the 3 little kittens who lost their mittens were done by a 6th grade girl. Such cutouts as these are ideal in dramatizing familiar stories and in serving as a stimulus to oral expression. An easier way to achieve this same type of cutout may be seen as Jimmy cuts out a picture from a storybook given him for that purpose. When the picture has been backed with felt, it will adhere to the board as readily as any cutout made entirely from felt. A little paste, mucilage, or glue will hold the felt backing in place. A paper cutout of this type need not be backed completely with felt. If a portion of it is so covered, it will possess sufficient adhering qualities to permit its use on the felt board for dramatization of stories by pupils. Use of the felt board is not limited to the teaching of any single subject. Arithmetic, vocabulary development, and oral expression are just some of the curriculum areas in which it can be used. The mobility and attractiveness of felt cutouts, for example, make them ideal for study of word families. The felt board is applicable for use on any grade level. Here, as Mr. Miller shows that a fractional part such as a 4th need not always be the same size or shape, it contributes in the teaching of fractions. Because felt cutouts will adhere to each other, fractional relationships are easily understood through a demonstration such as Mr. Miller's. In the later elementary grades, the felt board also can contribute to effective language teaching. Such concepts as the meanings of prepositions become less difficult to grasp when their meanings are visualized with this instructional tool. The felt board appeals to older children as it does to younger ones, and pupil participation is easy to achieve when using it. even teaching on the secondary level can call upon the felt board with advantage. Here, for example, by the manipulation of a single piece of felt, the formula for the area of a parallelogram is seen to be the same as that for a rectangle. In extracurricular activities as well as in formal classroom teaching, the felt board is ready to contribute. A successful football season, for example, reflects the previous skull practice sessions that Coach Hayes carried through, in many of which he used the felt board. Where does the tackle go on this play, he asks, and Joe's demonstration assures the coach that the play is understood. The band director also finds the felt board useful. Band formations are as intricate as football plays and must be thoroughly understood to be performed properly. In special education work, the felt board contributes in another way. Because felt cutouts will stay where placed or pushed, children with poor muscular coordination can get satisfying art experiences through this medium. The felt board has many valuable features as a teaching tool. It is readily stored, inexpensive to purchase or construct, light in weight, and easily handled. It may be set up in a matter of seconds on any desk or table, and immediately it's ready to go to work. Also, the felt board is an extremely flexible medium. It can contribute to instruction in all curriculum areas and on all grade levels. There is no set pattern for its use. It stands ready to fit the needs and methods of individual teachers, as it is here doing in helping Miss Andrews make the teaching of color recognition appealing and effective. Whether the felt board
So I'm going to hang out here until people can see me again. Yeah, there was a... I was setting up the telecine and switched over because the Blackmagic digitizing board wasn't showing up, and then as soon as I switched it over, it just went whoop, disappeared. So am I back? Can you see me? Let me know. I might be in another... Alright. Someone forgot to shut off their computer at midnight. Thank you for bearing with me. You know, OBS software is awesome, powerful software that's free, open source, but sometimes it doesn't play nice with some of the drivers, so weird stuff happens every once in a while, but oh well. Anyways, behind me I have a telecine, and we're going to watch a film that I have set up. It's called Noise. Enjoy.
Noises are part of our everyday lives. Some noises bother or disturb us. Some noises are pleasant.
How you doing? Hi, little fella.
As you watch and listen, notice which noises are disturbing. and how people are affected by them.
What do they say? Mommy, please cut my mouth.
Is Brian done with his swimming lessons now, altogether?
Almost. He's getting much better.
You're going to be quite a swimmer there, huh, Brian?
Just for me to jump in the water and start swimming on top of water, kicking my feet and doing my hands like this, touching them. I really did. I was the only one who did it.
Boys and girls, let's put our books away now, please. Now let's try putting them away a little more quietly. Take them out. Now let's put them away again. Yesterday we started our study of prehistoric animals. Let's review today some of the things that we learned yesterday. Debbie, would you start, please?
Well, first, the earth was covered with water, and there wasn't any land that when the water lowered or sunk, the ant rose.
Okay, Charles?
Well, there wasn't anything on Earth but marine life, and there are fish and plankton and all those little fish.
Kimmy.
A long time after, reptiles came, and they breathed through lungs, and they had regular feet. They didn't have slippers.
All right, Dan?
The reptiles
were big and some were meat eaters and some were plant eaters. Then after the reptiles then they became mammals with hair.
As you know, they developed after they even had live birth. They lived primarily on land.
Yes, you go there.
What?
Okay, you come back in an hour.
Okay.
Okay.
Just ends. That's crazy. Yeah, missing the titles and the ending. That's nuts. Although not totally surprising, because those are usually the parts that go on a film. If they're not threaded correctly at the beginning, they get shredded, and if someone tries to run the projector backwards from the end, they also get shredded. So that's probably what's going on. Let's learn about our bodies and how they move. Enjoy.
It's fun to dance.
if you have trained your body to express your ideas and feelings. But that takes some years of work and discipline. Here is the material with which we start. Not always perfect as it comes from nature's hand. But proper exercise and nurturing will help young limbs to straighten. And as the bodies grow, teeth come and go. Minds wake up. And we begin to dance. Meanwhile, it's fun. As a girl moves on through the elementary grades, the work becomes more serious, and she begins to move with rhythm and precision, with timing and grace. As she grows older, technique becomes more exacting, requiring concentration and control. To develop a well-trained body within the framework of natural movement, it is very important not to distort young bodies. The child's foot must bear her weight on a strong arch. Her knee must be pliable, her hips under, her stomach pulled in. Her back straight, her head held high, and she will walk in beauty all her life. Performance, too, is part of training. These little girls are from 8 to 11 years old. They can distinguish now the subtle rhythms of Beethoven's contradances. They are beginning to understand the patterns of choreography, the feel of dancing in a group, the stimulation of performing before an audience. They are tasting the fun of it and some of the pride. It is their training and control in the discipline of dance that has brought them this far. When they are a little older, they will gain further mastery. These are exercises for the mastery of the technique of modern dance, with its utilization of floor work as well as the ballet bar. But the choice of specific technique is not of primary importance. With a well-disciplined, well-trained body, a dancer can employ whatever technique best expresses the moods and ideas she wants to convey. Here is a 15-year-old trained in the modern technique, demonstrating some of the exercises of the classic ballet. With the same basic discipline, she can also master modern jazz movements. Dancing is acting, too, if one is to get the full fun of it. Let us see what these girls can produce in performance, dancing out a story. Excerpts from an original ballet called Of Men and Muses. The scene is Earth, mid-20th century. What's going on here? Modern man seems all disjointed. Each one strumming on his own banjo. Everyone out for himself. Jagged, jigging, jazzman, and slap happy. They're on the move, all right, but where are they going? Where is the order and classic form of yesterday? Where the calm, sweet influence of the muses who inspired our forefathers? This mortal seems to be wondering about that very thing. Let us send her to seek out the muses. She will find them at home on Mount Parnassus. Do they miss their mortal disciples? They do not. It looks as though they are perfectly well satisfied with themselves as things are. Euterpe is positively smug. And look at Calliope and Erato. They couldn't care less. They are apparently having a staff conference, planning their inspirational schedule for mankind. Poor, simple ladies. They don't know what's going on in the world. Only Melpomene, tragic Melpomene, seems to sense their loss. Urania, muse of astronomy, doesn't see it at all. She is too busy with her telescope. Polyhymnia, sacred lyric, bring your eyes down to earth. She won't. And of course, Thalia of comedy thinks it's funny. Ah, here comes our messenger from Earth. She's telling them how it is down there. How shocking. Look, I think she will persuade them to come down to Earth once more. Yes, there they go, chastened but hopeful. Meanwhile, back on the Earth, all is the same. Muses are getting into the swing of things. They're not as outdated as we thought. But they have brought with them discipline, harmony, exuberance, and inspiration, as they can to each of us if we train our bodies to express our ideas and feelings. Yes, the world turns much more happily when we dance together, minding our muses in true harmony.
All right, there we go. That film had a teacher's film report. Please complete this form if the film is damaged or otherwise unsuitable. There's a blank for film title. 1. Film broken at start, blank, middle, blank, end, blank. Film loses loop and or picture flutters. Part of soundtrack and or picture is missing in first third, second third, last third. Poor visual quality due to bad scratches, poor color, soft focus, or explain on reverse side. 5. Poor sound as compared with other films shown on same projector. 6. This film should be reevaluated for classroom use. Please explain on the reverse of this report. And then there's a thing for teacher's name, school, and date. So this was from the Santa Barbara County Education Office. So this was probably a school system-wide film library that put that out there. So there you go. All right, we got another film set up on the telecine, and hopefully this won't crash. This is Shelter. Almost anyone can build a house. Enjoy.
Man has always had a need for shelter. A place where he could eat and sleep in safety was as essential to him as his food and water. He had to find shelter to protect himself from the many dangers in his world.
We have everything we need.
Yeah. Hurry, quick, run! Here, we'll be safe in here. Come on, quick, in here. We'll be safe here. I know another place. This'll make a perfect shelter. All right, here's a place we can crawl under. All right, then we'll build our own shelter.
Hurry up.
We'll need something strong, something that will last. This will do it. This will make a perfect house.
But I'm so cold.
All right, I'll build a fire.
What are we going to do?
This time I'm going to build something that will last forever. Nothing's going to destroy this.
Oh, it's wonderful, dear. But haven't you forgotten something?
Huh?
It has to be a big one. It does not. We need a few trees close together, that's all. How about an oak? They're strong. Let's see what we can find. Hey, what about this tree? Hey.
Yeah, it looks okay.
How about you? What do you think? Like, it's okay if we go high enough. Look, if you pick the right tree, it's easy. Well, I don't know. What do you think, Michael? We got 4, 5 nice trees.
As long as it's not too high, eh?
Don't worry, we'll build a ladder.
In some parts of the world where shelter is still simple, men build their homes themselves. But in countries like the United States, where shelter involves many different elements, it takes from 80 to 100 people to build an average house. Every house begins with some kind of plan, usually by an architect.
It takes 2 months to build your average house. You begin by surveying the lot. You put in a stake at each of the 4 corners. Then you mark the exact place where you're going to build the house. The next thing you do is clear the area where you're going to build. You cut down the trees in the morning, clear them away by noon. Then you dig a hole 8 feet deep, large enough to hold a basement. Once you've dug out the basement, you measure again to mark the corners of the foundation. You want to make sure the house you're building matches the measurements on your building plan.
Oh, just put them down. Okay, put them down here. Put all the wood down. Okay, put them down. What we need first is a good strong ladder. Stick them right here for now. Kathy, where are the nails? Did anyone measure to see how tall the ladder should be? You don't need to measure, just tall enough to reach. I hope the ladder won't break. No, it won't. It's good wood, not tree branches.
It takes about 15,000 board feet of lumber to build an average 2-story house. That's 100 good-sized spruce or pine trees that have to be cut down and sliced into boards. It takes 10,000 bricks to finish the same house. That's 65,000 pounds of clay to be pressed into shape at the brickyard. The clay is then baked for 4 days in an oven at a temperature of over 2,000 degrees. It takes 90 tons of rock to make the concrete for an average house. The rock is dynamited at the quarry and then transported to the plant. At the plant, it is ground up into smaller pieces. The rock is later mixed with cement, water, sand, and lime to form concrete.
The bottom layer of a house is called the footings. It takes a crew of men a day to set them in. We lay the footings just below the frost line so the ground underneath the house won't freeze during the winter. If it does, in the spring it'll shift and crack the foundation of the house. It takes 3 more days to finish the basement walls. First, you set up the wall forms on top of the footings. Next, you put tie rods in the middle of the wall forms to keep them the right distance apart. When all the forms are in, you're ready to pour in the concrete. By the next day, the concrete is hardened enough to start building the frame of the house on it.
Okay, let's get the frame of the house built. Okay, let's put up the ladder.
What about the wasp?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Oh,
but it
never
won't
mind
matter.
the wasp. It won't kill you. You're okay. As long as you don't hurt me, you won't hurt me.
Give me the board.
Yeah,
Okay, go on, grab it.
I
have
have
it. Let go.
About 10, 11 feet.
Let go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Boy, this is going to be a great tree house.
eh?
I hope the ladder's strong enough.
Oh, it's strong.
After the cement hardens overnight, you waterproof it with liquid tar to keep your basement dry. Then you start building your floor. It takes another week to put in the floor and frame of the house, another crew of men. There are really 2 floors that go into a house, the subfloor, and then the finished floor that goes over that. The boards come cut to a certain length. On the site, you trim them to size. Once the floor is in, you can start putting the walls together. We construct the entire wall right on top of the floor. Then we cut out holes for the windows and the doors. When the walls are done, you lift them up and brace them in place. Takes about 200 pounds of nails altogether to build a 2-story house. After the walls for the first story are up, you put in the floor for the second story. And you build your walls the same way you did for the first floor. We work on a tight schedule, so we try to waste as little time and energy as possible.
I said we'd put it for a second floor. We'll wait and see. We don't need that there. Look, we can just waste the wood we needed up there, and at least it'll be used. Yeah, so this one will be too. It's not going to be used for nothing. Nobody's going to be using it. Yeah.
Boy, this is more work than I thought.
Will we be done soon? I'm tired of building. But just don't stand there. Do something. But you never let us do anything.
Don't even have the floor in.
It takes about 5 days to put the roof in. It's a delicate operation, takes a lot of care. The roof is a pretty crucial part of your house. It has to keep out the rain and snow and be strong enough to withstand the wind. A lot of calculations go into figuring out just how the roof should be built. You got to figure out how much it should slope, how much weight the rafters are going to have to support, how far apart they should be placed. All this has to be calculated before you drive a single nail in place. We work pretty carefully up there. You watch your step a little more than you do when you're putting in the basement. Once the frame is nailed in place, you cover it with sheets of plywood. Later, you cover the plywood with shingles.
Go on, lift it up, pull it.
Push a little bit more.
What do you think I'm trying to do?
Now push it over a little bit more.
Come on, hurry up. I'm coming up.
Push it more.
Just push a little bit more. Okay, let's see if it fits now. Are you pressing down? No, I'm lifting.
It's too big.
Yeah, it's too big.
Looks like we made a mistake.
Step on it, jam it in place. It'll snap.
It's too big. It doesn't fit.
Step on it and jam it into place like I told you in the first place.
It looks like we'll have to take it down again.
It takes 3 days and another crew to lay the bricks. Each of the 10,000 bricks has to be set in place by hand. The important thing in laying bricks is to make sure your rows are even. After each row, you check with a level to see that you're maintaining your line. Like the bricks, the windows come from the factory ready to install. You just put in the frames and slip the windows in. Meanwhile, inside, they're finishing up the house. First, you put in the insulation. Then you smooth out all the walls by covering them with plaster. When that's done, you paint. All that takes about 10 days. The exterior finish and paint takes another 5 days to complete. But when they're finished, so is the house.
Two months after the bulldozer appears at the site, the moving truck can pull up to the new house.
No, wait a minute. They can't move in there yet. We've forgotten to show how the house is hooked up to the community. Hold it. We have to go back. At the same time that you pour your foundation, you also have to hook up your sewer pipes. Once the frame is up, the electricians start. A typical house has over 1,000 feet of wiring hidden inside its walls. The water pipes go in at the same time as the wiring. The water for your house comes a long distance from the water main through miles of pipe to your faucets. You can't forget the fire hydrant either. The city puts that in. And the street lamps, too. Finally, the telephone lines are hooked up. Now you have more than just a shelter. You have yourself a real house.
Gee, it's pretty good up here.
Yeah, quiet. We're all alone, away from everyone.
Yeah, but I wish we had a TV.
Yeah, and a refrigerator, too. I'm getting really hungry.
You know, me too. I think I'm going to go home for dinner.
Each year in the United States, 1.5 million new houses are built. Houses of all kinds and shapes, to provide shelter in all kinds of conditions. But the houses we live in America are only one answer to the problem of shelter that people face all over the world.
Hello there.
Hi.
Looks like the bills have gotten here already. Insurance, taxes, gas, water, electricity, telephone.
So, yeah, Loading Corporation of America. I feel like that film, I didn't catch the credits, but I have a feeling that that film was made in Canada. There was a kid that said something A. So, and I didn't time out my show completely. So I've got... all these are too long. Alright. We'll just do this. Whatever. Alright. This next film was transferred on a scanner that's not mine. It was transferred by somebody else. And has a warble. And this is a film about how to edit synchronous sound on 16mm. So this is the process that all these films would have to go through, any of these educational films that have synchronized sound. So enjoy.
Editing a synchronous sound motion picture may be best understood when considered in its relation to the shooting phase of a film. Let us look in on a sound stage as shooting is about to begin. Quiet on the set. Roll sound. Roll cameras.
Camera 1 rolling.
Camera 2 rolling. Slate.
Sync sound editing. Scene 3, take 1.
Action.
In double system synchronous sound motion picture production, two systems are in operation at the same time, the sound and the picture. Sound is usually recorded on magnetic film on a sound recorder, while at the same time the action is being recorded photographically. To ensure synchronization between sound and picture, the recorder and the cameras must all be driven by special motors running at the same speed. When a synchronous sound scene is edited, a means of re-establishing synchronization is needed. This means of re-establishment must be provided during shooting, usually by a clapstick. A clapstick establishes a sound cue on the magnetic.
Thus, the clapstick is a means of establishing synchronization cues during shooting, which will be used to re-establish synchronization during editing. After the soundtrack and picture footage are evaluated, the film is broken down into separate scenes. The notes taken during evaluation indicate the take that will probably be used. The point of head synchronization must be located for each of these takes. This point of head synchronization on the soundtrack is the sound made by the clapstick. The first frame on which impact is heard is the frame to locate. This frame is marked with a pen or lead pencil. Then checked. A punch hole provides a permanent point of synchronization. After all head synchronization points are located and punched on the soundtrack, the picture footage is broken down. With the viewer, head synchronization points are located on the picture takes to be used. The first frame on which the clapstick makes contact is the point of head synchronization. This frame corresponds to the frame which has been punched on the soundtrack. On each picture take, this frame is marked and permanently located. The accuracy of these head synchronization points should be checked with those on the corresponding sound takes. The moviola may be used for this purpose. When the editor is sure of synchronization, he loads the two pictures and the soundtrack on the multiple rewinds. reels are separated by spacers. Non-ferrous reels should be used for magnetic sound tracks. Each film must be moved through the editing equipment at the same rate. For this reason, reel hubs must have equal diameters, and the lengths of the film must be equalized with leader. Single or double perforated leader is used, depending upon the film type. A key piece of editing equipment is the gang synchronizer. The head synchronization points are aligned in the gang synchronizer. This reestablishes synchronization between the sound and pictures. Synchronization will be maintained as long as the film remains in the gang synchronizer. In longer scenes, internal synchronization points should be marked. These marks are made at regular intervals and become substitutes for head synchronization points. They will serve to reestablish synchronization if it is lost during editing. Thus far, we have seen how synchronization, after being established on the set, is reestablished during editing. For the remainder of the editing process, this synchronization must be maintained. The shooting script and notes taken during evaluation indicate roughly where the cuts will be made. First, a section of the footage from the close-up camera is to be cut into the medium shot. To maintain synchronization between picture and sound, this cut-in must replace an equal amount of footage from the medium shot. The frame for the first cut point is located and marked on the viewer. The cutting marks on each picture are made on the synchronizer. These cutting marks are placed on the outtake side, next to the frame line where the splice will be made. Temporary synchronization points are marked so that synchronization can be checked immediately after the splice is made. After the splice has been made, the temporary synchronization points should still be in alignment. The other cutting point is located and marked in the same manner. All cuts and splices are made on the feed side of the gang synchronizer. After each splice, synchronization is checked. It is sometimes necessary to eliminate unwanted sound from the soundtrack. This unwanted portion is located and marked for cutting. When this portion of the soundtrack is removed, the corresponding picture cannot be used. The soundtrack could be spliced together, but if the corresponding picture were simply spliced together, like this, a jump cut would occur at the splice. One way to avoid this jump cut is to use a cutaway shot from another camera. When all cuts and splices are completed, the internal synchronization points throughout the film are checked. Finally, the edited sound and picture are evaluated on the moviola.
This means of reestablishment must be provided during shooting, usually by a clapstick. The clapstick establishes a sound cue on the magnetic film and a corresponding visual cue on the picture. Locating the clapstick cues on both the soundtrack and the picture is the first step in editing. When the synchronization points are aligned, in a gang synchronizer, They provide a permanent reference for maintaining synchronization throughout the editing process. Therefore, 3 important points to remember when editing synchronous sound are: first, synchronization cues must be established during shooting. Second, these cues are a means of re-establishing synchronization during editing. Third, this synchronization between picture and soundtrack must be maintained throughout the editing process.
That's how they do it. It's actually really kind of cool. And we have, when we've scanned some works before, besides there being a clapboard, a more advanced thing was like a sync light, and it would. So what we would do is we'd scan the visual, then we would have the audio on a 16mm full coat, and there would be a beep beep. So we could visually, in a nonlinear editor, we could line up the beep beeps, and things would fall into sync for a given reel. So it's something we still actively have to do, because not everything we get has the audio and the visual together. Sometimes we get separate things, and sometimes we get things that don't quite match up because somebody has done all these kind of edits in a work print and they don't completely match up with the audio, so there's a lot of like kind of clipping and doing whatever, which is not fun, but you know, that's what we do. Thanks for joining us today for our first show for 2022. I have big plans, big hopes for 2022. I don't know what they're going to be. I have some ideas, but I don't know if they're actually going to happen. But one of the things I'll definitely do is still do shows. I might be traveling more, depending on what COVID decides. But rest assured, I will have a show. I will do a show every weekday in 2022. Now that I said that out loud, something's probably going to happen that will keep me from doing it, but you know what, we're just going to strive for it. But anyways, it's great to see all your comments and your faces via your names, your screen names, and I hope really everybody had a great holiday, got some rest in, got some quality time in with loved ones, all that. And we'll be back again tomorrow at 1 o'clock. If you like what you saw, hit the like button, the subscribe button, the thumbs up, the bell, any little icon that says a positive thing about what you just saw. You can also buy us coffee at ko-fi.com/avgeeks or buymeacoffee.com/avgeeks. Yeah, so everybody have a great rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.